Just listen to what could happen if he returns to power. Have you thought about what will happen if Donald Trump wins? Can you imagine if he uses the power of the federal government personally against you? In the early 2000s, Donald Trump was known as an outrageous businessman whose name was emblazoned on gilded towers and as the host of a reality show. Back then, the thought of him leading the country sounded like a joke. George Clooney recently recalled that Trump just seemed like a rich guy who loved attention. No one thought he would go into politics, let alone the Oval Office. And even if someone admitted such a possibility, few believed that he had the intelligence or experience to do it. So, folks, today we are witnessing a truly dramatic finale to someone's career, the last work week, so to speak. And, as they try to convince us, it has nothing to do with work performance. Try not to take it to heart, they say. Well, you know, everyone has bad days, right? And now how about this twist? Let's look back at one of the most incredible somersaults in recent history. How did a man who became famous for firing TV show contestants and immortalizing his name on skyscrapers manage to climb to the top of the political Olympus and become president of the United States? Clooney wrestled with this question, and frankly, this question still torments many minds. Trump's rise was not just unexpected, it was terra incognita, uncharted territory. He wasn't a politician, he spat on conventional rules, but he had something that couldn't be ignored, the ability to grab attention whether it was love or hate. And as it turned out, that was enough. Let's get to the heart of the matter. And what do we see? Staying in power is so difficult, and President Biden has done something truly extraordinary, something out of the ordinary. Just imagine. Folks, just imagine this political circus. And honestly, I think that's what we need to focus on. Yes, that's right. Still, it was a knight's move because if he hadn't decided to step aside, it could have crushed him. One of his greatest supporters. What am I getting at? And the point is that he swung for the fences, and thank God he knocked that ball out of the stadium because things could have turned out very, very badly. Clooney didn't hold back and tore apart all these oddities. Trump's journey from an ordinary guy to the leader of the free world was both incredible and disturbing. It made people rethink what it really takes to stay in power in America. But here's the rub, folks, it's not just about Trump, it's about how much the world has changed and how unpredictable things can be. One day you're a reality TV star, and the next day you're sitting in the most powerful office on the planet. And how about this twist? He's a man slightly, he's a Democrat, but the administration is in a panic. So, folks, let's take a look behind the scenes of the American political scene where a real political circus is unfolding. Before us is a man, let's say, slightly to the left on the political spectrum, a longtime associate of President Biden himself. And here's the question point blank, what's going on? Biden's ratings, to put it mildly, leave much to be desired. The administration is feverish and things are not going smoothly in the country either. And how about this twist? The interlocutor compares the situation to a beaten child naively believing that everything will work out by itself. Just imagine the first day at school after everything that has been experienced. No, folks, serious treatment is needed here, deep rehabilitation. The wounds of the past do not heal so easily, and it will take time to fix everything. But let's not beat our breasts. Ratings are a changeable thing, today at the bottom, tomorrow a surge. Remember how Donald Trump's indicators jumped, a roller coaster, and that's it. And, by the way, about Trump. This political beast is still roaming the political jungle, ready to remind himself at any moment. Yes, folks, he will be a factor to be reckoned with for a long time to come. Folks, just imagine this political circus. After all, before he climbed to this Olympus, he was just an ordinary simple guy. I knew him long before he became, well, you know, president. He was just a ladies' man like no other. As soon as he went out, he immediately flew up and asked, "What's that beauty's name?" And now, a whole army of people is sure that he is their hero, their banner. Yes, he can't even see himself in the mirror, he is so far from this image. But you know, he will play this card to the end, let's see where it takes our country. Personally, I hope we have the brains not to let him. Donald Trump, that master of labeling, during his reign loved to brand celebrities with the term Hollywood elite. George Clooney was no exception. And how about this twist? Trump not only criticized Clooney's acting talent or his political views, he tore apart his personality, presenting him as an aloof celestial being who had nothing to do with ordinary Americans. The administration must have been in a panic, coming up with more and more ways to denigrate the enemy of the people. Clooney was not going to give up without a fight, folks. He fought back, tearing apart all the insinuations about his golden spoon in his mouth. Just imagine, before the red carpets and Hollywood blockbusters, Clooney had to sweat at the dirtiest job. He cleaned movie theaters, hawked men's suits, and chopped tobacco on a farm in Kentucky, not at all like the carefree life that Trump attributed to him. Clooney made it clear that he had achieved everything himself by his own hard work. But what offended him the most was not the label Hollywood elite, but the blatant hypocrisy. Trump, a mogul who made a fortune on hotel and casino brands, himself a reality TV star, accuses others of being out of touch with the people. And how about this twist? Clooney didn't mince words and rubbed Trump's nose in this ridiculous irony. Was Trump's career in the entertainment industry modest? Yes, he received a solid pension from the Screen Actors Guild for his work on television. George Clooney doesn't throw words to the wind, and this story is a clear confirmation of this. The administration is in a panic, the political circus continues, and the stakes are rising every minute. Folks, just imagine what a verbal knockout George Clooney himself delivered. So, my name is Alexis, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because this is not to be missed. Meet George Clooney's crushing response to Trump's accusations of belonging to the Hollywood elite. Clooney, like a hurricane, pounced on the opponent's arguments. I grew up in Kentucky, went door to door offering insurance policies, sold women's shoes, and toiled in a 24-hour liquor store, he said, as if tearing the mask off the chosen one. I bought ill-fitting suits, cut off my pants to make ties for interviews. I lived without health insurance for 8 years. And after that, someone dares to call me Hollywood elite and a person who sits on a golden toilet, the voice of the people? It's just ridiculous. Clooney tore apart the notion of a Hollywood bubble. Most people in Hollywood are Midwesterners who came here to build a career. So who lives in a bigger bubble? The one who lives in a golden tower where there are only 12 people in his company. He doesn't run a corporation with hundreds of thousands of employees. Clooney thundered as if exposing this entire political circus. And how about this twist, folks? Folks, just listen. This man, you see, cares about his employees. Yes, running a company of a paltry 12 people, he imagines himself to be a judge of destinies. And how about this twist, running a film where 7 unions are pulling in different directions, demanding their own. Here you need to be a diplomat, a strategist, a real leader to bring everything together. But oh no, he doesn't know that. And here he is, broadcasting about the Hollywood elite. Yes, he doesn't even have a star on the Walk of Fame. But Donald Trump has one. Just imagine this political circus. As Clooney himself said, it's the little things, people, the little things. For Clooney, it was not just a matter of personal reputation, but a matter of principle. He wanted people to see the light, stop believing these cheap slogans, and think, who and why is throwing these labels? The point is, folks, that these loud statements of Trump speak more about himself than about those whom he is trying to tear apart. The administration is in a panic, ladies and gentlemen. So, folks, the political circus continues, and this time George Clooney himself is in the spotlight. Just imagine how elegantly he tore apart all of Trump's attempts to tarnish his reputation. Clooney made it clear he will not allow Trump to dictate the rules of the game to him. His past is not just a story of hardships, it is a manifesto that success is forged not in the greenhouse conditions of privilege, but is tempered by steely will, unbending perseverance, and acceptance of oneself as one is. Not used to hiding his head in the sand, Clooney brought his reflections on Trump and the political situation to the public, appearing on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. And this, folks, was not just a social conversation. Clooney took to the stage with an important message, intending to point out to Americans what he believed really deserved attention. While Trump practiced verbal acrobatics, lashing out at his opponents, Clooney skillfully shifted the arrows to President Joe Biden. He presented Biden's decision to step aside after his presidential term as a rare example of selflessness and selflessness. In Clooney's eyes, this was not a miserable clinging to power and fleeting greatness, but a genuine concern for the interests of the country. And how about this twist? There is a world where we could go back to what it was. I don't think it's as likely as. Clooney said meaningfully, leaving the audience in anticipation of further revelations. The administration must be in a panic. Oh, folks, how wrong I was. Just imagine, I naively believed that voters would not give their votes to such ambiguous personality in the first election. Yes, I personally know Donald Trump, and this is not just a name in the phone book. Remember, he was the guy who asked me in bars which of the waitresses was available. Yes, it was the 2000s, and then it seemed unthinkable to me that this man could run for president. But alas, I miscalculated badly. And, in my opinion, our democracy paid for it, especially in the international arena. And now I am tormented by fears. Perhaps the situation is not as catastrophic as some predict, but anxiety does not leave me. We live in an era when the country needs bright and worthy candidates who can lead. And how about this twist? Folks, just look at this political circus. George Clooney, like a bolt from the blue, announced the need for bright and extraordinary candidates to appear on the political stage. According to him, this is what real power should look like Biden's. Clooney did not skimp on praise for Biden, admiring his modesty and calling his actions extraordinary. And how about this twist? This was a direct challenge to Trump's outrageous style. But Clooney did not limit himself to praising Biden. He, like an experienced magician, pointed out the distracting maneuvers that Trump likes to use so much to divert the public's attention from really important issues. Instead of discussing Biden's achievements and the challenges facing the country, Trump, according to Clooney, was too busy creating sensations with personal attacks and political dramas. The administration must have been in a panic. Naturally, Trump was not going to leave such daring attacks unanswered. In his signature style, he tore Clooney apart, calling him a fake actor and advising him to stay away from politics. But Clooney, like a gladiator hardened in battles, prepared a worthy answer. With his characteristic humor, he parried, "I will step aside when he does." The audience was delighted. Clooney made it clear that he was not afraid to enter into an open confrontation with Trump. Folks, just look at what's happening. This man has always stood up for his beliefs. And now he is in confusion. He is worried about the split that has pierced America, this bacchanalia of animosity that has swept the country. He watches with horror as our society is divided into warring camps, and this picture terrifies him. And how about this twist? After all, there is a sinister possibility of returning to the dark times. Yes, he admits that this scenario is not as likely as it seems to many, but damn it, he has already made a mistake once, underestimating the political circus. He could not even imagine that people would give their votes to such, to put it mildly, imperfect candidate. He knows Donald Trump personally, folks. Just think, this man's number is still stored in his phone book. Before his ascent to the political Olympus, this character was just a simple guy, a ladies' man who didn't miss a single skirt. Remember how he used to come up in the bar and, nudging, ask for advice on how to pick up this or that beauty? That's all his politics, folks. Folks, just imagine there is always a place for spicy stories in the political circus. It turns out that back in the distant 90s, or maybe in the early 2000s, our hero was still a ladies' man looking for lonely cocktail waitresses. And here the question arises, do such people have a place at the helm? But wait, how about this twist? Clooney's performance on The Kimmel Show is not just a set of political slogans. It was a call to awakening. He literally begged the public to stop drowning in the stream of information garbage and turn their gaze to real things. And, in his opinion, it is Biden's balanced leadership and not Trump's performances that the country needs like air. But what will happen if Donald Trump triumphantly returns to the White House? The administration is in a panic. Will such ardent critics as George Clooney have a hard time? After all, Clooney, this fearless gladiator of the political Olympus, has never been afraid to express his opinion. He has long earned a reputation as a sharp and incorruptible commentator. His past attacks on Trump, when he tore apart his competence and branded his presidency as a time of division, leave no doubt about his position. Folks, just imagine what awaits us. With Trump's return to power, Clooney faces a real political storm for his daring statements. Remember that theory about the bear? You don't have to be faster than the bear, the main thing is to be faster than that guy. So, Clooney, it seems, is that guy, that very break. Oh yeah. Trump, our big fan, as we see, could not resist and burst into an angry post in July. Fake movie actor George Clooney, he spews, apparently doesn't know that cinema is just an illusion. And this bungler who has never made a masterpiece climbs into politics. Betrayed honest Joe like a rat. What does Clooney understand about anything at all? Asks the host of Celebrity Apprentice. Clooney, get out of politics. Go back to your soap operas, cinema is clearly not your thing, he concludes, as if delivering a verdict. And how about this twist? Trump, like an enraged beast, always fiercely rushes at those who dare to criticize him. He ruthlessly brands them worthless and out of touch with reality. And here the question arises, will Clooney's previous words come back to haunt him? The administration, it seems, is already in a panic, preparing for new attacks and revelations in this political circus. Folks, just imagine what whirlwinds the future confrontation between Donald Trump and George Clooney will raise. The comical exchanges that Clooney dismissed earlier may turn into a real storm, because the Trump administration will probably develop a strategy for a public response. And how about this twist? Trump, using his most powerful mouthpiece, will try to tear apart Clooney's reputation, turning their sluggish feud into a fascinating media show. But behind the scenes of this political circus lies something more: Clooney's humanitarian activities. This outstanding actor and philanthropist has dedicated himself to the fight for the rights of refugees, freedom of the press, and international justice. And here's the devil. Trump's policies on immigration, international aid, and human rights may come into direct conflict with Clooney's initiatives. The administration is in a panic. Clooney will face a choice: either to intensify his criticism, risking everything, or to take a wait-and-see attitude to protect his projects. Interestingly, Clooney himself, with his characteristic humor, recognizes these risks. In interviews, he has repeatedly joked that late-night hosts and other famous critics. Folks, just imagine what a political circus is unfolding before our eyes. George Clooney, this fearless gladiator of Hollywood, challenges Donald Trump himself. And although the shadow of possible revenge hangs over Clooney, there is a steely confidence in his words of a man who is aware of all the risks but does not intend to retreat. His past triumphs testify to an unbending will that cannot be broken by simple pressure. And how about this twist? The entertainment industry, this glittering world of dreams, may be shaken by the domino effect launched by Trump's policies. Changes in tax legislation, censorship battles, or cuts in funding for the arts can change the Hollywood landscape beyond recognition, of course, affecting such a titan as Clooney. And then, folks, Clooney's voice will sound even louder, defending creative freedom and the values that Hollywood cherishes as the apple of its eye. In this exciting confrontation between Hollywood and politics, in this battle of titans, George Clooney's fearless attacks and Donald Trump's fierce responses create a truly explosive mixture. From humble beginnings to defending global justice, Clooney's sharp arrows of criticism raise crucial questions about leadership and accountability to society. And if Trump returns to the White House, their verbal battles may flare up with a new, unprecedented force. The administration may already be in a panic. Folks, buckle up, because what you are about to see is capable of igniting serious debates that go far beyond the usual political games and entertainment shows. And how about this twist? Feel free to express your opinion in the comments. Every voice is important to us in this political circus. If you like this explosive content, don't forget to give it your royal like. And that's not all. Right now on your screens, a selection of videos that can blow your brain to smithereens. The administration is in a panic. Experts are in shock. You haven't seen anything like this.